What's up, everybody? Talking football back here. Coming up. Week 7's in the books. Week 8 is coming up. Yeah, well, it sucks to be a Virginia Tech fan, I'll tell you that. Heartbreaking. Just a terrible year. I'm going to stand by them regardless, but things just are not looking promising as far as that goes. And it is what it is, I guess. So, whatever. Week 7's in the books. Let's talk about that a little bit. One of my good picks, sticking with my boys. Stanford out of the Pac-12, beating up on UCLA. I picked them to win the Pac-12, and since week 2, they're pretty much showing that they're probably the best in the Pac-12 right now. So, good pick on that one. The other big game this last week was Ole Miss Memphis. What do you do? As far as being an Ole Miss fan, it's been rough here the past 3 weeks. Memphis is undefeated and showing that maybe they're not a joke after all. Iowa is still undefeated. Are they going to be a team in the Big Ten? Who knows? As of right now, you really can't say that they're not. Michigan State beating Michigan was a big one. Harbaugh, whatever. I still think he's one of the best coaches out there right now, and give him a couple years in the recruiting up there, and he's going to be dominated. It's going to be Urban Meyer and Harbaugh as far as powerhouse goes in the Big Ten. I know that Sparty is no longer the little brother to Michigan, but give it time. It's only going to be a matter of time before you're back at being the little brother. Bama's rolling again. Roll Tide. They're still there. And Notre Dame beating up on their rival USC. It's pretty much the big games for Week 7. Let's get into conference talk a little bit. Move on to Heisman's and then look at some of the bigger games coming up in Week 8. Now this will be short and sweet. Things haven't changed a whole lot since about Week 3. The SEC is still the best. There's no denying that. Granted, the Ole Miss lost to Memphis, what have you, but they're still the best conference in football, and there's no denying that. Maybe Memphis is that good, so people have to understand that as well. After that is the Pac-12. There's a couple people have fallen off as far as, UCLA being one of them. And Arizona's fallen out of the top 25. Arizona State, what have you. Oregon is down. Washington's not doing as great as they usually. Usually as good as they usually do. Washington State, whatever. You still have Cal, who is still a very good football team. Stanford is doing the business, doing the damn thing. And as far as all-around skill, you got Utah, who's number 3 in the country. I think that's going to change here. I don't see them going unscathed. Granted, they are very good. Cal's gonna beat some people, I think, coming up before the end of the year. They have too much talent not to make some upsets. Then they're ready. Jared Goff, he's ready. They've been ready, and that's coming. As far as 3 and 4, and I know that there's some people that disagree with me as far as the winner of the Big 12 goes. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But as far as 3 and 4 go, it's the Big 10 and the Big 12. Besides for the Big 3 powers, the Big 12 is Baylor, TCU, and whatever. Flip a coin for the other one. The Big 10, obviously, Michigan State, Ohio State, obviously, and granted, Michigan State beat Michigan. You can flip a coin for Michigan being one of the better ones in the conference. It's not Penn State, obviously, but as far as overall talent goes of these two conferences, those two are definitely tied. As far as I'm concerned, I don't see how you can say anything otherwise. And then at the bottom is the ACC. Obviously, it's not Virginia Tech, because they suck. Florida State is very good. Clemson's very good. And you have to classify Notre Dame seeing how they're taking an ACC bowl bid. They're playing a predominantly ACC schedule that they're ACC. So, and Pitt's in the top 25 this week, and, Duke is still hanging around in there. So, surprisingly, the ACC actually has teams in the top 25 consistently, but they're still not even close to being held with the rest of them. So, that's your conference rankings as far as that goes. We're talking about over halfway point in the season. The SEC, I'm still taking Alabama to win that one. The Pac-12, I called it from the beginning of the year. Hogan being, back his senior year, going to be good. Stanford, I'm still going to stick with them as winning the Pac-12. I don't see anybody else that's going to beat them right now. The Big Ten, as much as I hate to say it, unless Michigan beats Ohio State the last game of the year, Ohio State's going to run through that one. They finally changed out the quarterback. JT Barrett's going to be starting. He should have been starting from the very beginning, but, it is what it is. So Ohio State out of the Big Ten, and, my brother disagrees with me, and probably everybody else disagrees with me. I still think that the old Horned Frogs are going to take the Big 12. The Oklahoma and Baylor and TCU, everybody's got to play somebody. And nobody's just going to run through that one undone. Somebody's going to beat somebody, whether or not they like it or not. And as far as the ACC goes, you have to say Clemson. Notre Dame can't play in the ACC championship. Nobody out of the Coastal. It sure as hell ain't going to be Virginia Tech. I don't see Miami doing it. I don't see Duke doing it. Pittsburgh winning all this it's going to be tough for them to just run straight through that. So Clemson winning the ACC. It pretty much wraps up with conferences. Let's get in a little bit about the Heisman picks. Now, the Heisman list hasn't really changed, and I don't think the Heisman list has changed in anybody's books from the last 3 weeks, besides for maybe Nick Chubb not being in it anymore. Obviously it's Leonard Fournette. He's a force to be reckoned with. Granted, he didn't put 200 yards up on Florida, but, he's still that good. He's the best tailback, like I've said over and over and over in these, through this year. He's the best tailback that I've probably ever seen play college football. And I've seen some great ones. You're talking about Ricky Williams, LT, Dane. He's a little bit of all that mixed in with some Bo Jackson and some Herschel Walker thrown into a blender and served on ice. He's that good, and he's a good person, and the stats, the presentation, everything else, it's all there. And the way he's playing, if the only way he's not going to win it is probably if they don't win the SEC. That's really about it. If my number 2, Trayvon Boykin, doesn't win, if he wins out, more than likely he's probably going to win the Heisman. You have to step aside numbers, and you talk about the style points and things like that. Everybody likes a crisp record. Everybody likes the undefeated record. Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston. Granted, the only one that didn't have a flawless record was like Johnny Manziel, and that's just because he got lucky and did some stupid throw against Alabama, and everybody knows that Alabama was better than them that year, and they, so, Fournette 1, Boykin 2. You still have to throw Ezekiel Elliott into it. Maybe not the show-stopping abilities that Fournette has, but he's still a relative candidate, and he's still probably top 3 tailbacks in college football right now. And last but not least, I still think Derrick Henry is got to be on the list. I know that people are saying, well, what about TCU's receivers? Well, that's fine, and they do catch the ball well, but they have to have somebody that's delivering all these balls to them. So it's tough for me to put a receiver in the list. So that's my Heisman picks. Let's get into Week 8 and talk about some of the big matchups. All right, as much as it pains me to say it, Week 8 is here. and that means we don't have much left of college football. Teardrops. So, kicking it off Thursday. Cal UCLA. Now, this is a chance for UCLA to bring it back, to make their statement that they are not just a pushover, and they're out of the top 25, what have you. Like I've been saying before, Jared Goff's a real deal. He's very good, and he's probably should be close to the Heisman list. If he pulls a couple more big wins up, I mean, he's back on the list, because I think that the Heisman should be looked at two things: style points and statistics. And now, as far as the statistics go, he's killing it. I mean, it is what it is. But that's that. One of the games I'm going to put on upset alert, no one really probably even cares, is probably Temple ECU. Now, Temple's undefeated and back in the top 25. I think East Carolina's going to beat them. I'm taking East Carolina in the game. I think that they have a couple talent things, and on a Thursday night, let's look for the upside. Let's go for or whatever night. Let's go for the upset on that one. The other one I want to look at is Oklahoma Texas Tech. Texas Tech has the ability to put 1,000 points on the board in the blink of an eye. Now, can they do it against Oklahoma? Well, I don't know. I went 7 for 10 last week, so I'm going to take Texas Tech in this one. I think that they got the firepower. I don't think that Oklahoma's as great as everyone thought they were going to be, and that's my other upset pick. Tennessee Bama play this weekend. It is Tennessee. I don't care if you play 4 quarters, you can play 6. Bama's going to roll on this one. Okay, so roll Tide. USC and Utah. Now, watching ESPN and a couple other Fox Sports, I know that they're talking about the upset possibilities that the Trojans, beating up on Utah, this, that, and the other. Let me get something straight here. USC, you couldn't beat Stanford. You couldn't beat Notre Dame. I doubt you're going to beat Utah. So I'm taking Utah on this one. Little ACC action, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's 2-5. They were coming into the season. They were here. They're going to win the Coastal. Possibly play college playoffs. This, that, and the other. They're dropping games left and right. If Georgia Tech drops this one, that's going to be it. They're not even going to make a bowl game this year. Do I think they're going to beat Florida State? Hell no. Florida State's going to roll in this one, stay undefeated. The Clemson-Florida State matchup. That's going to be the game. That's going to be it this year. Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Ole Miss coming off a hard loss. They've lost to Florida, and now they lost to Memphis, who is undefeated. A&M coming off of one to Alabama. I'm going to take Ole Miss. I think they're going to rebound. They have too much talent on the team not to win this game. Their defense needs to step it up. I think maybe they might have been overlooking Memphis. Not downgrading Memphis as far as the team goes. But Ole Miss is going to win this game. I got faith in them. I think the defense is going to be there. I think they're ready for it. And, granted, they're probably not even favored. I didn't really look yet. But Ole Miss in that one. Stanford, Washington. Now, Washington beat USC, whatever. I'm just kind of picking up games from conferences. It's not a real great week as far as big matchups go. Stanford's going to smash Washington. It's going to happen. I don't see Washington beating Stanford. There's nothing that would indicate that Washington can beat Stanford, especially since Stanford's probably going to win the Pac-12. And last but not least, Michigan State and Indiana. Now, Indiana kind of ran with Ohio State through 3 quarters. They always forget that you have to play 4 quarters in football. But ran with them for a little bit. It's going to be the same story Michigan State? Probably not. It's going to stay close, maybe to halftime, and then Michigan State's going to run away with it. So there's your picks: Cal, Clemson, Texas Tech, Bama, Utah, FSU, Ole Miss, Stanford, Michigan State, and, of course, ECU over Temple. That's my picks for the week. That's the wrap-up as far as Week 8 goes. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Got some action this weekend for some pretty solid football games, but nevertheless, it's still college football. So, everybody be safe, and I'll see you back here next week.